Chosen one, you are not here by accident. You were pulled into this moment by divine appointment, by the perfect timing of heaven itself. Something in your spirit was stirred, something whispered for you to click, because tonight, December 1st, 2025, you are standing at the edge of a supernatural shift, a divine wealth transfer, a destiny-level breakthrough that has been written over your life since the beginning. Anointed one, the veil is thin tonight. The atmosphere around you is charged, alive, moving. What you have been sensing, the pressure, the anticipation, the inner trembling, is confirmation that God is positioning you for a release you cannot miss. For the word says, "The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous," and tonight, that scripture is not just a promise, it is a prophetic activation over your life. Chosen one, heaven has called your name. You are being summoned into alignment, into overflow, into a realm where closed doors unlock and delayed blessings accelerate. This is not just another night, this is the turning point. The spiritual gates of breakthrough are opening, and your spirit knows it. Take a breath, still your heart, prepare yourself, because tonight, your entire destiny shifts. Chosen one, listen closely, because what is unfolding around you tonight is not ordinary, not random, and absolutely not accidental. You are standing inside a divine intersection, a moment where heaven presses into the natural realm, and your entire destiny begins to shift. I need you to feel the weight of that truth, not just hear it, feel it. Because when God aligns a moment like this, everything in your life starts responding to the call. Even the things you thought were dead begin to move again. Anointed one, tonight marks the beginning of a supernatural elevation, a financial breakthrough, a spiritual promotion, a turning of the tide that has been long overdue. I know what it feels like to wait. I know the quiet frustration of believing for more, but waking up to the same routine, the same numbers in the bank, the same battles in your mind, the same spiritual fatigue that whispers, "Maybe it's not your time yet." I've lived that. I've prayed through that. I've cried through that, and I've watched God flip situations overnight that looked impossible for months. That's why I can tell you with full conviction, something is shifting for you tonight. This is not motivational talk. This is prophetic timing. When heaven schedules a breakthrough, nothing in hell can interfere. And when God places his hand on a chosen one, the evidence begins in the unseen, before it ever touches the physical. Tonight, that unseen movement is rising inside you. You feel it, the uneasiness, the expectation, the strange spiritual pressure, like something is about to burst open. That's the sign of divine recalibration. That's what happens when God prepares you for more than you've ever carried. Chosen one, this is why the last few weeks felt like warfare. This is why your sleep has been disrupted, your peace has been challenged, and your emotions have been unpredictable. You were not breaking down. You were being broken open. Heaven has been rearranging things inside you to make room for what is coming to you. And hear me clearly, God does not release new levels into old containers. He has been loosening your grip on things that once defined you, old relationships, old mindsets, old versions of yourself that cannot survive where he is taking you. You've outgrown environments that were too small for the anointing on your life. You've outgrown people who could not see the calling on your name. You've outgrown cycles that were designed for who you used to be, not who you are about to become. This is why you've been feeling disconnected from what once felt comfortable. Divine separation is often the first sign of divine elevation. Anointed one, tonight you are stepping into what I call the alignment window, a moment where everything in your spirit rises into perfect positioning with heaven's instruction. It's like what I once experienced years ago, a night where I could feel my entire life tilting toward breakthrough. Nothing had shifted physically yet, but my spirit knew. Something in the atmosphere felt charged, intentional, sacred. And within weeks, the door I had been praying over for a year suddenly flung open. That same atmosphere is surrounding you right now. You may feel warmth in your chest, a pressure around your forehead, a strange mix of peace and urgency. These are not coincidences. These are indicators that heaven is touching down on your timeline. God is not just preparing a blessing for you, He is preparing you for the blessing. Chosen one, something ancient, something ordained, something written long before your birth is awakening inside you tonight. And in the next segment, I'm going to reveal the first prophetic sign that heaven is placing on your path. The confirmation that your breakthrough has officially begun. Chosen one, now that your spirit has been stirred awake, we step into the first prophetic sign that heaven releases when your destiny is shifting. This is sign 1, the divine surge. Before God changes your circumstances, He always touches your spirit. Breakthrough begins internally, long before it becomes visible externally. And tonight, many of you are feeling that unmistakable inner activation, a rise in spiritual sensitivity, a warmth in your chest, a buzzing in your hands, a sudden sharpness in your thoughts, or a quiet but weighty awareness that something is pressing into your life. That sensation is not stress, not coincidence, and not your imagination. It is the current of heaven brushing against your spirit, signaling that divine intervention has already begun. I've walked through these moments myself. There were nights when I felt my entire inner world shift before anything around me changed. A vibration in my palms, a strengthening in my breath, a moment of clarity after weeks of heaviness. And without fail, every time this surge came, a breakthrough followed. Unexpected provision, divine connections, opportunities that aligned with perfect, supernatural timing. What felt random at the moment later revealed itself to be heaven, preparing me for a blessing I could not yet see. The same pattern is unfolding in you tonight, anointed one. This surge is God enlarging your capacity. You may have noticed recently that old habits no longer feel comfortable, old conversations drain you faster, or old emotional patterns suddenly rise to the surface. You may feel more honest with yourself, more aware of what no longer fits, or more protective of your peace. These are not signs of confusion. These are signs of elevation. When heaven prepares you for increase, it first disconnects you from what cannot go with you. Detachment is often the first evidence that divine alignment is taking place. The divine surge is heaven's announcement that you are entering a higher dimension, spiritually, mentally, and energetically. God upgrades your inner vessel before He pours out external blessings because He will not place new oil into an unprepared container. So if you've been feeling spiritually alert, emotionally raw, or unusually sensitive, it is because your spirit is being tuned to carry more clarity, more favor, more abundance, more responsibility. The surge is the spiritual preparation for the very breakthrough you've been praying for. Chosen one, hear this. The surge is not the breakthrough itself. It is the signal that the breakthrough is already in motion. It is heaven whispering, "Get ready, I am moving." It is the spiritual trumpet that announces a shift in atmosphere. It is the confirmation that God is touching your life from the inside out. And in part 3, we will uncover the next prophetic sign, why the chaos, pressure, and emotional shaking from recent weeks were not signs of failure, but proof that heaven has been dismantling the old structure of your life to prepare you for elevation. Chosen one, now that you understand the divine surge, we must move into sign 2, the breakdown before breakthrough. And I want you to hear this with clarity. What you lived through in the past few weeks was not chaos, it was construction. It was not punishment, it was positioning. Every moment that felt like pressure, confusion, loss, or emotional heaviness was actually heaven reorganizing your path so that what's coming could reach you. Divine elevation always begins with divine disruption. Anointed One, think back on the days leading up to this moment. Something felt off. People acted differently. Conversations became tense. Situations that once flowed smoothly suddenly felt blocked or heavy. And deep inside, you wondered, why does everything feel unstable? But the truth is, God was shaking loose everything that could not survive your next level. When heaven prepares to increase you, it removes the weights you didn't realize you were still carrying. Relationships that were draining you began to expose themselves. Friendships you trusted suddenly shifted. Opportunities you thought were secure slipped away. You felt misunderstood, isolated, or emotionally stretched in ways you couldn't explain. It wasn't random, it was refinement. I've lived through nights where everything seemed to fall apart at once, where God stripped away people I depended on, plans I thought were certain, and paths I assumed were permanent. At the time, it felt like heartbreak. But looking back, I realized He wasn't destroying me. He was clearing the space required for what He wanted to give me. And many of you have been living through that same spiritual clearing. You weren't losing support. You were losing dead weight. You weren't being abandoned. You were being protected. Heaven has a way of removing what you would have never removed yourself. Chosen One, the pressure you felt recently was the spiritual equivalent of a seed breaking open right before it emerges from the soil. It feels like destruction, but it's actually activation. Confusion is often the final stage before clarity. Emptiness is often the doorway to overflow. Friction is often the sign that your old identity is dissolving and the new one is being formed. When God elevates you, He will not allow you to bring fear, doubt, betrayal, or limitation into the new season. He dismantles the old structure so the new foundation can hold the weight of your blessing. If you have felt drained, detached, or emotionally exhausted, it is because your spirit has been shedding layers. If you felt like nothing made sense, it is because God was rearranging everything simultaneously. If certain people drifted or showed their true colors, it is because heaven revealed what your heart was too loyal to see. The breakdown is not the end, it is the turning point. And Chosen One, that turning point is happening right now. Tonight marks the moment when the breakdown phase ends and the breakthrough phase begins. In the next segment, we will step into Sign 3, the alignment phenomenon, the supernatural confirmation that heaven is actively guiding your steps. Chosen One. Now we step into Sign 3, the alignment phenomenon, a prophetic indicator that heaven is not only moving around you, but speaking directly to you. When your breakthrough is near, the spiritual realm begins communicating in ways that cannot be ignored, brushed off, or dismissed as coincidence. Suddenly, life feels like it is echoing your thoughts. Patterns appear, messages repeat, signs align with uncanny precision. This is not random, this is divine orchestration. Anointed One, in this season, you may notice repeating numbers like 111, 222, 444, or 555, appearing at the exact moments your spirit is reaching for clarity. You glance at a clock and it's 11:11. You check a receipt and the total ends in 444. You hear a phrase on the radio that answers a question you never said out loud. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Heaven uses repetition to ensure you cannot miss what it is trying to tell you. I've lived through this alignment phase many times. There were seasons when I kept seeing my birth date, or a name connected to a future opportunity, or a symbol I didn't understand until months later. At first, I brushed it off, but the signs intensified. Conversations with strangers echoed the exact thoughts I wrote in my journal. A random song spoke the sentence that I prayed the night before. Directions, answers, and clarity kept circling back until I realized Heaven was speaking louder because my destiny was getting closer. And that same spiritual volume is rising around you right now. Chosen one. When you are in alignment, your intuition sharpens to supernatural levels. You start sensing the intentions of people without needing explanations. You feel nudges to call someone, move toward an opportunity, or step away from an environment. And when you follow that nudge, the path opens. When you ignore it, the discomfort intensifies. That is because God is no longer letting you wander. He is guiding you deliberately, urgently, purposefully. During alignment, dreams become more vivid and symbolic. You may wake up feeling like you traveled somewhere, received instructions, or were shown glimpses of a future moment. Your discernment becomes stronger. Your inner voice becomes clearer. You begin to understand things without evidence. This is spiritual intelligence, heaven enabling you to see beyond the natural. And there's more. When you enter divine alignment, your reality begins shifting to meet you. People show up at the exact moment you need them. Opportunities appear without effort. Doors that were previously closed begin to open without force. You may even feel a magnetic pull, a sense that something is drawing you forward, pulling you into the next season of your life. That pull is destiny, recognizing its appointed time. Anointed one. These alignments are not just signs, they are invitations. Heaven is asking you to participate in your breakthrough, not simply wait for it. God is syncing your steps with your purpose. He is orchestrating supernatural timing. He is guiding you with precision, because what is coming requires your full awareness. In part 5, we will step into the next prophetic marker, sign 4, the soul rebirth, where your entire identity elevates to match the calling over your life. Chosen one, now we enter sign 4, the soul rebirth, one of the most powerful prophetic indicators that heaven is transforming not just your circumstances, but you. This is the moment when your inner identity shifts so profoundly that you can feel the old version of yourself dissolving, not slowly, not subtly, but suddenly, like something deep within you has awakened, strengthened, and risen to the surface. Anointed one, when a soul rebirth is happening, you will notice a new clarity emerging in your mind. Thoughts that once overwhelmed you no longer have the same power. Fears that used to hold you hostage begin losing their grip. Patterns that trapped you for years suddenly feel too small. It's as if your spirit steps into a higher dimension and pulls your entire life up with it. This is not imagination, this is transformation. Heaven is refining and realigning your inner world so that you can step confidently into the blessing prepared for you. I have experienced this myself. There were seasons when I woke up one day and realized I was no longer operating as the version of me that had survived so much. I wasn't carrying the same emotional weight. I wasn't tolerating the same disrespect. I wasn't shrinking myself to make others comfortable. Something in me had shifted, and once that shift happened, I couldn't go back. A soul rebirth changes the way you walk, the way you decide, the way you speak, the way you value yourself. And chosen one, that same deep, undeniable shift is happening within you tonight. During this rebirth, old emotional wounds rise to the surface, not to torment you, but to leave you. You may find yourself revisiting memories, having honest internal conversations, or feeling sudden emotional waves. This is not regression, this is release. The old identity, shaped by survival, disappointment, trauma, or lack, cannot enter the season of abundance and breakthrough God is leading you into. So heaven is stripping away every layer that no longer belongs to your destiny. You may also feel a new calm settling over your heart, a peace that doesn't make sense, a knowing that something life-altering is on the horizon. This calm is not apathy, it is alignment. It's the stillness that comes when your spirit stops resisting and starts receiving. When your inner world aligns with heaven, your outer world begins to respond. And there's something else. Your intuition becomes stronger than ever. You begin sensing what is right before logic catches up. You recognize misalignment quicker. You identify divine opportunities faster. You feel guided, supported, and spiritually protected in ways that feel almost tangible. This is the activation of your higher spiritual intelligence, the God-given insight that leads you into purpose and prosperity. Anointed One, when your soul rebirth is complete, life will not feel the same. You will not think the same. You will not choose the same, because you will not be the same. You are stepping into the version of yourself that heaven knew all along, the healed one, the empowered one, the confident one, the destined one. And in part 6, we will explore how this identity shift leads directly into the supernatural acceleration that marks the next phase of your breakthrough. Chosen One, now that your soul has stepped into rebirth, we move into one of the most thrilling prophetic indicators of all: supernatural acceleration. This is the season where everything that was once delayed, blocked, or stagnant suddenly begins to move, not by force, not by striving, but by divine momentum. When your identity elevates, heaven responds by accelerating your timeline. What used to take months begins happening in days. What required effort now arrives with ease. The spiritual winds shift in your favor, and you feel it deeply, unmistakably, undeniably. Anointed One, acceleration is not just a blessing, it is a sign that you have finally aligned with the version of yourself that can carry your next season. When you changed internally, the external world was spiritually required to catch up. You might begin noticing opportunities resurfacing, doors reopening, conversations happening by chance, or people showing up at the exact right time. You may see resources flow toward you without explanation. Financial movement begin where there was once stagnation, or creative ideas pour into you faster than you can act on them. This is not coincidence. This is divine speed. I've walked through seasons of acceleration myself. There were times when nothing happened for months, and then suddenly, everything happened at once. The right person called. The right door opened. The right opportunity appeared. And it didn't require pushing. It required readiness. Heaven moves at the pace of your internal alignment. The moment you become the one who can steward the blessing begins searching for you. And that is exactly what is happening in your life right now, Chosen One. During acceleration, time feels different. Things that once felt far away begin to feel close. You sense something approaching. You can't explain it logically, but your spirit knows something is shifting in your favor. This sense of anticipation is not anxiety, it is recognition. Destiny is drawing near. Promises are waking up. What was delayed is now being delivered. And because heaven is accelerating you, there will also be a supernatural smoothing of your path. Conversations that should be complicated will flow easily. People who resisted you will soften. Processes that typically take long will shorten. The spiritual resistance you once felt will weaken. It is as if invisible hands begin clearing obstacles before you even arrive. This is how acceleration feels, like the wind behind your back instead of the wind in your face. But hear this, Chosen One. Acceleration requires spiritual sensitivity. When God moves quickly, you must move with Him. Hesitation becomes costly. Obedience becomes essential. Discernment becomes your compass. In this phase, you may feel strong inner nudges to apply, to begin, to release, to speak, to step forward. These nudges are not random thoughts, they are divine cues. Follow them. Heaven accelerates those who respond, not those who resist. And Anointed One, your acceleration is not just about speed, it is about alignment with purpose. God is ensuring that everything connected to your destiny begins converging. relationships, resources, ideas, opportunities, all moving toward you at once. In Part 7, we will explore the next dimension of this journey, the external manifestations and divine confirmations that prove your breakthrough has entered the physical realm. Chosen one. Now we step into one of the most tangible phases of your divine shift, the external manifestations and physical confirmations of breakthrough. This is the stage where what was happening in the spiritual realm begins to translate into visible changes in your daily life. Up until now, much of your journey has been internal: the surge, the breakdown, the alignment, the rebirth, the acceleration. But when heaven decides the time is right, the invisible becomes visible, the spiritual becomes physical. The promise begins to materialize. Anointed one, you will notice this shift in ways that feel subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. You may begin seeing small wins, unexpected favor, sudden solutions to problems, people reaching out with opportunities, or resources appearing in ways you never anticipated. These little breakthroughs are not random gifts. They are early indicators that the larger blessing is approaching. Heaven often sends small confirmation signs to strengthen your faith and prepare your heart. It's like God whispering, "Look, I am moving. Keep going. Don't lose faith now." I've seen this in my own life. There were moments when I felt stuck for months, and then, out of nowhere, something shifted. A message came. A person who had forgotten me suddenly remembered. A situation that seemed frozen began to melt. And those small movements were always the precursors to massive change. They were the first ripples of a much larger wave. Chosen one, that same ripple is forming around you right now. Another major manifestation you'll notice is people responding to you differently. Some will be drawn to your presence without understanding why. They'll say things like, "There's something different about you," or "I feel peaceful around you," or "I've been thinking about you lately." They are sensing the spiritual elevation you've stepped into. Your energy has changed. Your frequency is higher. Your spirit is stronger. Heaven's mark is upon you, and even those who are not spiritually sensitive will feel it. At the same time, you may notice divine redirection becoming strong, plans shift, schedules rearrange, doors that once frustrated you begin to cooperate. Situations fall into place without you forcing them. You'll find yourself at the right place at the right time, overhearing the right conversation, meeting the right person. This is heaven aligning your footsteps with supernatural precision. Chosen one. Another powerful indicator of physical manifestation is your creativity igniting. You may feel inspired to start something new, a project, a business idea, a conversation, a step you've avoided for years. This sudden burst of vision is not coming from your mind. It is coming from your spirit. Whenever God is about to enlarge your territory, He plants the blueprint inside you first. And then there's the final confirmation: peace. A deep, unshakable peace that rises even when things are still aligning. A peace that says, "It's already done." You will feel grounded, centered, anchored, not because your circumstances have changed yet, but because you have changed. Your confidence becomes spiritual. Your trust becomes mature. Your posture becomes steady. Anointed one. These external manifestations are heaven's way of revealing. Your breakthrough has crossed from the unseen into the seen. In Part 8, we will enter the final and most powerful stage, the sealing of your transformation and the prophetic declaration that anchors the new timeline you are stepping into. Chosen one, now we arrive at the final and most sacred stage of your transformation, the sealing of your new timeline. Everything you've walked through, the surge, the breakdown, the alignment, the rebirth, the acceleration, the manifestations, has been leading you to this exact moment. This is where heaven finalizes what has been unfolding in the spiritual realm and anchors it into your destiny permanently. This is where the old timeline officially closes, and the new one becomes law over your life. Anointed One. When a divine timeline is sealed, you will feel a profound internal shift, a sense that something has clicked, something has settled, something has locked into place. You may feel lighter in your chest, clearer in your mind, or deeply grounded in your spirit. This isn't emotional hype. This is the spiritual reality of stepping into the version of yourself that heaven always knew you would become. What once felt distant now feels close. What once felt impossible now feels inevitable. That is the signature of a sealed destiny. In my own journey, I remember the moment when God sealed a chapter for me. It didn't come with fireworks. It came with silence, a holy stillness that told me, "It is done." The confusion lifted. The fear dissolved. The constant overthinking quieted. I wasn't trying to force anything anymore. I was simply becoming. And from that point on, life began moving differently. Decisions became clearer. My path straightened. Doors opened without struggle. That is the power of a sealed timeline. It shifts your spiritual gravity. Your life begins attracting what is meant for you and repelling what is not. Chosen One. This sealing means you are no longer returning to the older patterns, the older wounds, the older versions of yourself. Those identities have expired. Their authority over you is broken. Their chapter is closed. You are stepping into a spiritually authenticated identity, the healed, elevated, aligned, chosen version of you. And this time, it will not fade, because heaven is not giving you a momentary breakthrough. It is giving you a permanent transformation. As your new timeline seals, you may feel a rise of courage, an inner voice saying, "I'm ready now." This readiness is not natural confidence. It is supernatural empowerment. Heaven equips those it calls. And you have been called, chosen, appointed, anointed, and positioned for this exact elevation. And now comes the final act, your declaration. Every divine shift requires a verbal anchor. Heaven responds to faith expressed. Your words are not empty breath. They are spiritual keys that lock this new timeline into place. When you speak with authority, heaven agrees. When you agree with heaven, your destiny aligns. So, Chosen One, as this moment seals, speak life into your path. Speak alignment, speak breakthrough, speak readiness, speak purpose, speak abundance, speak the new timeline into solid reality. You are not begging for change anymore. You are claiming what has already been written for you. Anointed One, this is your moment. The old is gone. The new is established. The shift is complete. Your breakthrough doesn't begin tomorrow. Your breakthrough begins now. Chosen One, as this message comes to a close, pause and feel the shift already settling into your spirit. You are standing in your Kairos moment, the exact divine timing appointed for your breakthrough. The old weight has lifted. The new timeline is open. Heaven has already begun moving on your behalf. Anointed One, walk forward, knowing you are aligned, protected, and favored. What you've been waiting for is now in motion. Doors will open, clarity will rise, provision will find you without strain. If this word resonated with your spirit, feel free to declare it in the comments. And if you feel led, stay connected for more guidance and alignment. Go with reverence. Go with confidence. Your breakthrough doesn't begin later, it begins now.